Hello, everybody. This is Catholic Dad, episode number 377, The Sham of Foreign Aid. So, Ron Paul, one of the greatest politicians of all time, he's also known as Dr. No. He was in Congress for approximately 30 years, and he never voted for an appropriation bill ever once in the history of his lifetime. But he used to have a saying. He would say that foreign aid is taking the wealth of poor people in rich nations and giving it to the rich people in poor nations. I think Ron Paul, a very wise man, was probably wrong on this, and I think the Hunter Biden Burisma fiasco and Joe Biden fiasco of foreign aid has kind of proven it out. And I think probably a better way of saying this is saying that foreign aid is taking the money, the poor people of rich nations, and giving it to the rich people of rich nations. This is just kind of a Ponzi scheme. They pay off some corporations in foreign nations, but they also pay back the politicians in the nations where the foreign aid is coming from. And so let me explain a little bit further, everybody. I don't know. So first off, is foreign aid a constitutional endeavor? And I would say it probably isn't. And who would I quote? Well, James Madison being one of them, and when he said, I cannot lay my finger upon any part of the Constitution which appropriates public treasury money for charity or benevolence or something like that. I'll put the quote down below in the comments. You could actually look at the real quote, but essentially that the father of the Constitution, James Madison, the man who wrote it, couldn't find out where a government could give away money to other people in terms of charity. Well, how does foreign aid work? Our government gives away lots of money. I mean, billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars every year, and they give it to other organizations and other countries, and they also give it directly to governments. Now, what do governments do with their money? Do they take it and benevolently hand it down to their people? No, they don't. And what they do is they have to appropriate that cash, and that cash goes to corporations. Okay, that's typically the way it works. And so when you take foreign aid out of a population, you take public treasury money and you hand it over to governments to hand out to corporations. Who do the corporations hand the money out to? Well, they hand it out to their good buddies, essentially. And I don't know if you remember what happened, but Burisma was a oil and gas company in Ukraine. Joe Biden was the vice president of the United States of America, and he was making a threat to Ukraine that if you don't drop the attorney general that was investigating his son's company that he was on the board of directors for, they wouldn't get $1.5 billion in foreign aid. So they fired the guy. Hunter Biden got off scot-free. Joe Biden was free sailing. But the fact of the matter is, Joe Biden's son was getting $80,000 per month just for sitting on a board of a foreign country. And so what did that amount to, by the way? That amounted to this. The American public treasury, the taxpayer of the United States of America, transferred a large sum of money to Ukraine, which then gifted it to Burisma, an oil and gas company, which then hired the vice president's son to sit on the board and absolutely do nothing for $80,000 a month. So that's a transfer in wealth from the public treasury to Joe Biden's son of $80,000 per month in return for a favor. This is corruption on the highest end of corrupt. Hunter Biden's son should have never been allowed on any foreign boards. He shouldn't have been allowed to receive any money from any kind of public treasury. But that's a certain form of money laundering, by the way, because countries don't audit each other's appropriations. And so when you take public treasury dollars from America and you hand them overseas and you put them out in the foreign hands, essentially you can't track the money. And so if you want your son, if you're vice president, to make $100,000 or $200,000 a month, or some piddly little amount of money that politicians, I mean, these guys never make more than $200,000 a year, and yet they're all multimillionaires when they leave Congress. You got to wonder about that. But if you want your son to make all this money, what you do is you say, hey, listen, we have this foreign aid to your government. Maybe you give them some board positions somewhere. You can actually funnel that part of that foreign aid back to that company. And that company, my son could sit there, and then he can always lobby the United States of America for more foreign aid if you need it. And that's a transfer of wealth from rich people in rich nations to rich people in rich nations. And it's at the hands of the public treasury. And you wonder why these guys are always so rich. And you're also wondering why you can't get them out of power, because once you're in that situation, you're never going to vote against yourself. And so this is the swamp. This is the deep state everybody's been talking about. And foreign aid, I think if Donald Trump does anything reasonable in his 4 years of presidency and then the next 4 years of presidency, he would get rid of all foreign aid. And you would actually watch how apoplectic the world would go, because the Clinton machine's funded that way. The NGOs, non-governmental organizations, are funded that way. George Soros probably derives a lot of his wealth that way. I mean, Soros started the Quantum Fund with Jimmy Rogers. And they made a couple $100 million together, but Soros somehow is worth multi billions of dollars now, and Jimmy Rogers isn't. Where did all that money come from? Well, it's probably from foreign aid people through non-governmental organizations to achieve a New World Order type global government. And so be very skeptical of foreign aid, even when it goes to friendly nations, because it's a way of laundering public treasury dollars from your country into the hands of whoever is corrupt and whoever wants to take bribes and favors. That's what foreign aid is. And so anyway, this is Catholic Dad making you think about it. Please like or subscribe, get the Mass, and pray the Daily Rosary. God bless you all.